Shay, yeah.
What is there to fear? I'm from Black America, it's just another year. You knew to disrespect my over-elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere. Just get up every time somebody knock you down and celebrate.
Wait, go back.
Nah, you just hit me up earlier with that.
I was going.
Okay, you hit live, scroll to live.
Oh.
1 second, Ozzy, we about to go up. What's up, everybody? It's the Nitty Gritty Show. Give y'all a little bop. It's October 31st. It's Halloween. So I'm on my money making bitch, i.e. money making J tip tonight. Paid in full drip. Everybody's doing well, being safe out there. I seen a lot of cool costumes over the weekend. That was pretty dope. I know a lot of folks are at the churches doing like trunk or treat. So doing the alternatives where people dress up, I guess like non-ghoulish or demonic thing.
I still don't understand how clowns became evil. They're like so happy.
Well, I guess you got evil clowns, you got good clowns. Yo, what's up, D? I see you. Peace, God. So we got a cool show for y'all. Shout out. This is the last show of October. So shout out to 8th Notch, our business sponsor of the month. Shout out to Saucy D's. You go check them out at 8th Notch on IG or the 8th Notch on Facebook. Go to www.8thnotch.shop. Get yourself some of that Saucy D sauce. It goes good on everything. Alright. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, go to 3500 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 200. Right? Los Angeles, California, 90010. Shout out to my man Jason Carver in the comments. Naptown in the building. Indianapolis in the building. Let's go.
Hey, y'all.
Oh.
They need to come out with the Missy verse, Busta challenge. That would be dope.
They need to do a Missy versus because like nobody, but everybody said they're afraid to go against Busta, so.
But I think Missy could do it.
Nah, she got enough hits to definitely go against Busta. But once he brings out Flip on that stage, I agree. The energy will be something else. Oh, we got Oxen Hill in the building. Alisa, what's good, girl? What's going on? Today's show is I'm Gonna Make You Love Me. We're gonna talk about how people be trying to make folks fall in love.
You want to talk about
make
your
people.
outfit?
Oh, I just did. You wasn't listening.
Or our outfit. Well, what about mine?
I mean, we both on R&B hip hop.
I look very Missy.
I thought you was going very Missy Elliott with you.
I am Missy Elliott. Yeah, like a
okay.
little like space, like garbage, trash, futuristic look. You remember back in the 90s when they used to wear like space jumpsuits?
Yeah, that's what we on tonight. So we got on Friday we went to a party. We were I was a Sith Lord.
And I was a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, so like we did that. That was cool.
Oh, I guess we could bring it out for the end. I can end with my lifesaver. It's right there.
I know, right? So anyway, let's get ready to get down to it.
Thank you,
says you love the suit. That's
Thank
what's up.
you.
So look, it's your boy Jacob Costa.
It is your girl, Katniss.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty.
Hey,
I see
Chris.
KC in the building. Drop a bomb.
Where's Lana? She watching too?
Where's Lana at? Yeah, where's Lana? So, let's get down to it. So obviously we shouted out 8th Notch. Thank y'all for sponsoring for the month of October. Let's get into some current news. So, Kyle Rittenhouse trial. If y'all not familiar with Kyle Rittenhouse, this was the young man that was carrying an M16, killed 2 protesters, injured 1. Keep in mind that everybody he killed or injured was white. But these white folks that he did hurt were protesting on behalf of Jacob Blake. He was the young black man that was shot in the back by the cops. We know that the cops don't have no reason to ever shoot somebody in the back. The only reason why you would ever shoot someone in the back is that they're charging someone else to do them physical harm. And even then, it would be risky to shoot them in the back because you don't want to risk shooting the person that they're trying to harm. So once again, not understand why you shoot somebody in the back. Shout out to Maybe I See You, Clarks Vegas in the building. Clarksville, Tennessee, we see you. So that trial is underway. And that's a big one because we were able to see allies that weren't necessarily members of the culture, meaning they weren't black, but they still were peacefully protesting. Thank you, Elisa. And this young man took matters in his own hand because he was like, I want to be a police officer and I need to protect my country from the peaceful protesters. So I'll shoot some peaceful protesters because I don't want them to deface her monument or I don't want them to possibly loot a store. So just to be safe, I'm going to shoot a peaceful protest. And that's what he did. He didn't shoot a looter. He didn't shoot somebody who was defacing a monument, which, mind you, if they were looting, if they were defacing a monument, that is not a right to shoot somebody. Even for a police officer. I could be painting graffiti on the wall. That's not a right to shoot me. I could be in the act of looting from a store, but that is a non-violent act, right? If I'm looting, I'm just grabbing stuff and running. That's not a right to shoot me. Now, if you tase me, possibly, or if you tackle me, sure, right? But to shoot me, no bueno, right? That's not cool. So that is not the proper use of force in that situation. This is going to be a big one because the whole nation, like a lot of these trials have been watching, but this one is going to make it very clear that there's an obvious bias towards white men committing crimes, right? There's plenty of stats out there to prove that. We talk about them many a times on this podcast, but be watching that one carefully. Keep in mind tomorrow, next year is an election year, right? So this is going to play into a lot of the election, quotes and helping draw the line, much like people have been using COVID to draw the line, right? So just pay attention. I'm telling you, that's going to be a hot topic. There's Kyle Rittenhouse trial, COVID obviously, and then last but definitely not least, CRT, critical race theory, are going to be big topics going into the next election year. So be watching for that. Katrina, you can take care of this next one. So this is more directly, it's a serious matter.
Okay, so Insecure is back on for those of you guys who didn't know or didn't check it out. And if you don't watch Insecure, it's a show written by Issa Rae. So there was a big controversy because the first episode of the last and final season 5, Amanda's character, played by Amanda Seales, she actually was wearing an AKA sweater that had the shield and the letters on. In other seasons, it was done more subtly where she would just wear pink and green. It became a really big deal because technically when you are part of the Divine Nine, you are not supposed to wear any of the letters of the organization. Unless you are an official member. Yep. You might embellish it by wearing colors. You can wear a frog or something, but anything that's official, like the ivy leaf or the letters or the shield, is a big no-no. So, last I heard, AKA sent a memo out saying that they were going to look into it and handle the matter, and that all Soul Warriors should stand down. And so that is what's going to happen. Of course, Amanda Seales defended herself by saying, I've been doing this since season 1. It wasn't a big deal. AKA should be happy that they are being represented in a very gracious light versus being upset. There's a lot of different thoughts on it. Me personally, I don't really care. I mean, I see why.
It's obvious why people are offended, right?
Right, but at the same time, she is painting us in a nice light,
I think
it's like, okay.
I think it gets touchy because she did wear the letters. She
did
wear the shield.
She could have just worn pink and green.
She should have just stuck to wearing pink and green. I will say this is much like in the military too, right? We see a lot of military films where obviously the people depicted are not military, but they're playing a role. Now I've seen it, and then I've seen people argue both ways. Some people like, and this is from a military perspective, I've watched movies where people are pretending to be part of the 101st Airborne Division, but their patches are all wrong. Like they have on 3rd ID patches, or they have 82nd Airborne patches on. I'm like, I mean, if you're gonna pretend to be part of the 101st, wear the 101st patch. Shoot. I mean, and this is especially a lot of these movies are like, you know, timepieces where they're representing something. So it's like, well, if you're gonna wear the stuff, you might as well go all out. But then I've seen in some movies where I guess they're trying not to wear certain patches and letters to be respectful. But then it looks stupid because then they end up saying stuff out of order. Like they'll use Marine jargon, but they're supposed to be, you know, Army personnel. Or they're Marine personnel and they're using Army jargon and ranks. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna do it, just do it right. But I understand kind of like both sides. And I think what helps me see both sides of the argument as far as trying to portray something authentic versus not is the military idea. But then from a Greek perspective, it's like, yeah, you don't want to see mine wearing the shield or rocking the letters they're not supposed to. So it's kind of an up and down with it. I just think the best thing to do is to get clearance from that organization or from the military or from police officers or whoever. If you're going to portray someone, get the proper clearance. I just don't think they did, from what I understand.
They didn't.
Yep. So
Lisa and Lana, if you're on, well, I know Lisa's on. Lana, if you're watching, let us know in the comments if you would be offended by someone portraying a Delta and not having clearance. I'm curious to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear that. Shout out. So while y'all put that on, also, so and Insecure's back on. It's a great show. You guys should check it out. Also, I wanted to throw this one out there. This doesn't pertain to everyone, but this might be of interest to other folks watching, right? Depending on where you live. So Montgomery County, Maryland, 91% of their residents are vaccinated. So what they've done is they've removed the mask mandate from going into stores and things of that nature. I think they still want you to wear a mask in public trans. I think public trans and certain like hospital settings and stuff like that, you still have to wear a mask. But like just general shopping and going to the stores, you don't have to wear a mask. So, you know, I think it's something to say, it's something to consider. I'm not pushing people one way or the other, but it's something to consider that, you know, maybe if more people were to get vaccinated, you could see looser mask mandates in a way that probably would make more people feel comfortable. It's just a suggestion. So I wanted to bring that out because that's something where they've done that. And then part of it is the surrounding counties are also like 75% or better vaccinated as well. So it gives them to say like, okay, we can take off a mask mandate because the population here is there, but then also people in the surrounding area are also highly vaccinated. So just something to consider. Moving on to, so we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. This is what y'all came here for. I'm gonna make you love me. So there's a what? No, it's fine. I'll be testing the levels before the show. No, it's good. It's good. I'll be testing the levels. See, watch when I stop talking. See that? It's there. And then we start talking, it goes up. That's how you know. Hold up. Before I go, Elisa said, I personally wouldn't be offended. However, the Greeks are corporations, and if trademarks are violated, then the organization has the right to send the cease and desist. And that is true. And they all are corporations, so they can do that. So that's why that incorporation date is important as your foundation date. So let's go to, I didn't see any other comments come through, but they do, I'll read them off. So anyways, you know, we're talking about I'm going to make you love me, right? So I was inspired by the song I'm going to make you love me by Diana Ross and Diana Ross and the Supremes along with the Temptations. They actually went on tour together and they actually did some music together along the way. And it's funny because it's a classic tune. Many of you heard it before. I would play it, but then the video would get, you know, blocked or whatever. I played the song, so I could have just had you sing it. But I don't know if you know the words, so I'm going to make you love me. Remember the song? I'm going to make you love me. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yeah. I'm no singer, y'all, so, you know, I should have prepped my singer to sing it. But anyways, the song, I mean, dope songs at family gatherings, you heard it at social events, yada, yada, yada. And it's funny, like, if you read the lyrics of the song, it's saying stuff like, every minute, every hour, I'm going to shower you with the love and affection you need, oh baby. And it's going through all these different things, like every step, every move, every breath I take, I'm going to make you love me. So I gotta ask the question, folks. With all your efforts and everything you try to do, and you can shower somebody with gifts, you can acts of service, you can, love on them, right? Can you make somebody love you? And this is going somewhere. It gets juicier. Oh, it does. But I'm gonna start off soft today. Just gotta ask the question: can you make somebody love you? Can you just make them like, ooh wee? Can't get me enough. Can you make somebody love you? Can I make you love me?
There are some things that can cause me to feel closer to you or more, or have endearment. Yes, of course. There are actions that you can do that's gonna make you feel like, oh man, I really love my husband. And then there are some actions that you can do that be like, my husband is getting on my nerves.
I know, right?
I'm gonna choke him out.
So Christopher McKinney said no. And I think he's on to something. He said no. I wonder if anybody else is gonna comment. Can you make somebody love you? Can you make somebody be like, oh, I love this person. I'm gonna be their ride or die. Through sickness or through health.
Your mama said yes. You can.
Mama said yeah. Okay.
And I like that Christopher and Jason are watching via YouTube.
Yeah.
I like the diversity of viewers.
Yeah.
Lisa
said no, you can't. This can be dangerous because so many times people ignore the wants and desires of the other person.
I mean, love is an action. So that's first. It's not a feeling.
It is an action.
It is. It's not a feeling. At the end of the day, the other person's going to do what the other person's going to do.
So here's another question, too, as you guys are probably answering that first one. I'm going to throw a second question out there. Why is it that we even try to make people love us in the first place? Jason said, no, I don't think so.
Because of movies and fairy tales.
Well, I mean, because we've been here since the 60s even, right? This song came out in 1968, I'm gonna Make You Love Me. We've been hearing that, the great romantic movies, those romance novels, I'm gonna make you love me, I think they're saying that the chat is off on IG. And for some reason, I can't troubleshoot. That's what Chris said. If you're on IG, if you can, join the YouTube channel if you want to make a chat comment. Although I've seen other people make comments, so I'm not sure what's going on, but at least on IG, at least on IG, Facebook, I mean, you can get the whole gamut of the show. You get to see the lower thirds and all that stuff. That's kind of cool. So yeah, Mamie said it is an action. Love is an action for sure. And so why do we try to make people love us though? What is it that?
Because it makes people feel good. It makes people feel like they are valued. And I also think that it's rooted in being possessiveness.
I like that, possessiveness. That's a good thought. Lisa said Leah tried to make Jacob love her. It didn't work. Oh, bring the Bible. We seen a bunch of people in the Bible trying to make somebody love them. And then some people try to cut off all the competitors, right? Jason said, I'm going to kill your husband. Bathsheba?
You mean David?
That's what I said. I said David's going to kill your husband.
I thought you said Jason said. I was like, what, David?
No, I said David.
Okay.
Chris said insecurity as far as trying to make somebody love him. There's a lot of... People
get married insecure though. Like I know people who will verbalize that they married somebody strictly because they looked good or they went the status quo. And then when that thing changed, it was like, oh, well, now I don't love you anymore. It was very conditional. And that's the reason why we say love is an action, because love should never be rooted in a condition. Love is a decision to say, despite whatever current circumstance, I'm still going to commit myself to you and love you and value you. And we have to understand with love and with people, different seasons change people, right? There are women who might act one way, be sexy, be intimate, and they have kids, and their value system changes, their body changes. You have some men who start off not balling, but then by the time they get, 40 or 50, their money is different. So naturally their confidence might be different. So I think that people need to understand when going into long-term relationships, it's an ebb and flow. It's seasons.
Yeah.
Because there are days I love my husband dearly. He's my best friend. Like when we was doing the whole Star Wars thing, I'm like, oh my God, we could be black nerds together. And then there are days he gets on my last, everlasting nerve.
I'm gonna join the beat around. Yo, shout out Sven, Baltimore in the building. So, I bring all these topics up because y'all
Your
favorite.
mama said you said Jason.
When I even when I'm wrong, I'm right. I'm like my grandfather.
What?
So, I brought all this up because your favorite black couple, black goals, used to be black goals, black love, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this couple was relationship goals. Not so much anymore. But Will and Jada Smith, right? So Jada out here running her mouth again about her relationship with her husband, allowing people to misinterpret or whatever that happens, right? But what we see is, we know at the beginning of this marriage, and it's heavily documented because their business is all out there for everyone's consumption. And let me say this before I even go further. Y'all know my rule. Small minds talk about people. Average minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas. So I want to take a people event to bring it to a larger conversation, obviously. I don't know the inner workings of Will and Jada's marriage. I do know that it is heavily publicized. They've talked about it on the Red Table Talk that she made it very clear I wasn't trying to be a wife. And Will was determined to force her into being something that she didn't want to be. And this becomes a greater conversation about making people love you, because how many times have we seen men in general trying to turn, well, the old slogan is you try to turn a hoe into a housewife, or you just try to turn an unwilling participant into a housewife, someone who wasn't trained to be a housewife, someone who doesn't desire to follow or submit to a man. I know I'm cursing to some, but let's just be honest, that's part of the job, right? And then on the flip side, we seen women marry no good brothers that have no intention of being a husband. He been in everybody else's DMs, liking everybody else's pictures. He's still Mr. Smooth, Mr. Slick, Mr. Flirty, Mr. Smiling too much in other women's faces. Not responsible, not trying to get his stuff together. But some woman gonna be like, I'm gonna make him a husband. I'm gonna make him love me. I'm gonna make him responsible. And there's nothing about the way this person operates that would suggest that he is right for marriage. But somehow we get it in our thick heads. We can make somebody love us. We can make them change. And we drive ourselves crazy to the point of our own embarrassment. Because we're trying to turn somebody into something they told us from the beginning. I'm not that. I ain't trying to settle down. I ain't trying to be a wife. I ain't trying to be a husband. I'm out here doing my thing. I'm living my best life.
So let's read some of these comments.
So let's read some comments. We don't really got that many, but we really just got Aletha and Chris's. But you go ahead and read those.
Y'all say
let's read some comments.
See how long he first it was. He ain't want to admit, trying to make it seem like I was crazy about David versus Jason. Now, like, we got some comments. You like basically trying to shame me. We ain't really got that many. We only got 2. But go ahead. You can go ahead and read. Maybe get your side together. I need this baby to come through in the comments and get one together. Okay. Elisa said, I agree with the insecurity thought. The person has a vision of the perfect life with the perfect person. That vision is more important than real life. Chris said, absolutely. There's also trying to be something that you're not. Well, I mean, that too, like, you can't, like, it's almost like if Juan were to want me to be, let's say, like, super duper hood. Hello? I feel like clean my hot stuff.
I mean, but even if it's something constructive, right, you can't force somebody to do that. Like,
well, yeah, like me trying to, I'm working on setting better boundaries, but I'm not all the way there.
But I can't force you to do that overnight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, and I think we have to come into the grips of, like, there might be something healthy for someone to even for you to want them to do, but you can't force it. Because at the end of the day, no one individual, and I don't care if it's a partnership, relationship, whatever the situation, if it involves another person, no one individual can make any kind of partnership or relationship work. You can't do it by yourself. Because if I was to make it, and just make it simple math, in school, a failing grade is typically 60% or lower. Depending on some schools, it can be 70% or lower. I know me in a private school situation, it was 70% or lower. But nonetheless, 60% or lower, most places at least, that's considered failing, right? So automatically, if I have 2 people in a room, to get 100% effort out of 2 people, That means if she gave 100% of hers, 100% of mine, that's still 100% of her own effort is only 50% of the whole, right? Because she's half of a pie. So that means even if she's working to her hardest degree, 100% of Katrina's individual effort is only 50% of our joint effort, right? So we both have to be operating at a somewhat high level to be passing together. We need to both be at least operating at somewhat 80% of our own levels so that we get a joint passing grade. Are you guys following the math? I hope I didn't lose you, right?
I'm also curious to see if you guys have been keeping up with the Will and Jada controversy and what is your opinion on the matter. But I think what people need to understand is that when biblically people suggest you're equally yoked, we automatically think equally yoked means, oh, just both be Christian. Equally yoked means a lot of things, right? It means investigating, is this person going to be good with finances? Will they be a good significant other, a good spouse? Are they, you may not discover their sexual proclivities until after marriage, but understanding, their background. Or there's somebody that's going to, want to experiment outside of the home sexually, or will they want me to experiment with them? Being equally yoked is having similar goals, I think, and desires. For example, if Juan were to marry me and all of a sudden I switched up, like, nah, I'm trying to be a housewife of Atlanta. I want you to make basketball money. That would be considered unequally yoked because it's like, that's not what we agreed to before we got married, nor is that even a rational goal to have. It's good to have a goal to continue to move forward and gain better financial levity in your life, but that doesn't mean that you should aspire to say, my man better make millions of dollars or I'm leaving him. Like, that's not even rational.
Yeah, it isn't. But for some reason, people are so controlled by social marketing. I don't want to call it social media anymore. We was actually with a couple having dinner the other night, and I was just referencing this, and it was that so often, when social media first started, the idea that Uncle Zuckerberg had was that you can recreate or have relationships over long distances, and the internet can help bring that distance to a shorter pace, right? And then what happened is, somewhere along the line, you start seeing the like button, and then the marketing mind comes to place like, ooh, if this person's getting a lot of likes and they become an influencer, and they start wearing XYZ brand, I can sell it. I can get people to come to this party if I get so-and-so to post a flyer. And then social media transitioned to social marketing. And now, what you post on, Facebook changing the name to Metaverse. I'm happy you brought that up, Chris. But now what happens is people realize that whatever you post online becomes part of your brand. And you have to be careful how you represent your brand. And also you have to be careful about what you take in that has an influence on your brand. Too many people are watching the TV, looking at IG, and they're competing with people that don't even represent their brand. In real life, they're not that person. They're borrowing somebody else's clothes. They could barely afford that car. They're taking pictures of the dinner because they don't eat like that regularly anyways. So they post a few pictures of these great meals and you thinking, dang, that joke out here eating steak every day. No, they eating ramen noodles in between. But you don't know that, right? Because everybody has this social brand that they're trying to push that's somehow connected to luxury. And that's unrealistic. And then it ends up going into places with relationships where you think, oh, well, I seen so-and-so's man was doing this for her. That joker might have been in trouble. That's the only reason why he was doing that. He's trying to get back on her good side because he got caught looking at booty pics. But you don't hear that part of the conversation. And yes, I'm being pretty blunt because this is the stuff that happens. These are the things that you hear couples arguing about sometimes, right? So-and-so then went off in the house, cussed everybody out. So yeah, he on there the next day, got everybody to pumpkin patch smiling because he's trying to get back on the good side.
Not pumpkin patch.
You got women out here whipping up meals that look amazing. But the only reason why she's doing it because she in trouble. But they don't tell you that part of the story. You're just seeing the one piece. Like, ooh, look at this, look at that. And everybody wants to be that person. Everybody wants to walk in their individual shoes until you have to. Then you realize, well, maybe I don't want what I've seen.
Well, here's Elisa. She said, are you suitable? That's my rejection statement. We're not suitable. I don't get pushback when I say that. I also think, too, so Will is a person where he doesn't like the idea of failure. So for him, because he got divorced one time before, he felt like that was a failure. So now that he's married to Jada, even though Jada had publicly said before they had got married that she wasn't a traditional person, she didn't really want a wedding, like the writing was all on the wall, I think for Will Smith, it was like, I want monogamy. Jada said she did not grow up seeing monogamous relationships, therefore she didn't like monogamy. So naturally, she kind of, I would say, created a pushback she created a pushback where Will Smith had to then adopt her ideology of having a non-monogamous relationship. Because when you hear him talk, he always says, Jada wasn't happy.
New York City, the building coming from.
He always says Jada wasn't happy, and Jada had to go out there and do what she needed to do to make herself happy. And naturally, I found myself trying to go out and make myself happy. He calls their marriage an institution and says that they will never get married. But to me, never get a divorce. But to me, when I hear Will talk, he truly seems to me to be a very traditional person who desires a monogamous relationship, who desires a constant effort of loving the other person and sacrificing of self. But Jada is not that person. So I think that he is now just settled with the idea of, hey, I have been hurt 1,000 times before in this relationship. I'm no longer going to allow someone seeking happiness to hurt me. It is what it is. I'm never getting divorced. And we call that commendable, but to what extent? Because the reality is really not what he wants. He is compromising on his standard, but I don't see Jada compromising on hers. And one can say, well, she compromised early on. Maybe that is true, but the point being is that at the core of Will Smith, when you hear him talk, I don't know him personally, but when you hear him talk, it doesn't seem like this relationship is serving him.
And like I said, I can't elaborate too much on their relationship, but we see this scenario play out in everyday people all the time. Someone is trying to, like for instance, girls will be messing around with a dude. This guy ain't about nothing. Then you get pregnant by him, and then now you're trying to force him to be a baby daddy. Then you're going to be like, I'm going to force you to be a husband. And then they were like, oh, I'm going to threaten you with child support, yada, yada, yada. But you knew before you opened up your legs for this dude that he wasn't the kind of person you wanted to have a child with, that he wasn't on nothing, and you're trying to force a scenario. Too many guys realize, you knew when this girl walked in the club, she was vying for the attention of every man there. And you out here going broke buying purses.
Hey, Emia.
You out here going broke, trying to go on the dates that you can't afford, because you're trying to force this girl to make you see only her, and she's always looking for the best opportunity. She's always looking at the basketball player. She's always looking at the dude in the club that seems like he got a little bit more money than you. You cannot tame her. So why are you even trying?
But I think fear keeps people in relationships that are not for them. Because it's the fear of the unknown. You're used to somebody, you don't feel like putting the effort and the work in to meet somebody new who might be better. And so your fear is keeping you beholden to something that may or may not be best for you. It could be a toxic relationship that you're still involved in because you're fearful of the unknown. And I just simply think that if you know in the core of your stomach that a person is not for you, it's best to just walk away.
Yeah, walk away, counsel losses early, right? Versus trying to force something that's not there. Chris had made a good point. He had said the biggest issue early in the pursuit of romantic relationships is trying to make something happen. Like anything else in life, you can't force something to work, and that's true. And matter of fact, I wanted to read off these definitions too, because this will keep everything in perspective. Everybody has a different mindset of what love is, but then it's kind of like there's still a definition of what love really is, right? So, looking at love from a verb, to hold dear, basically to cherish someone, to feel a lover's passion, devotion, or tenderness for, to caress, to copulate with, right? Talking about the act of love in a sensual situation, to like or desire actively, to take pleasure in, to thrive in, right? Almost like a rose loves sunlight, right? The rose loves sunlight because it thrives in it.
So Greg said he's about to walk away. I don't know, did we read Christopher's comment about the biggest issue?
I did.
Okay.
So, but those are important definitions. You know why they're important? Because if you want to know what love looks like, a love should be one where it's like, okay, you know what? Is it cherished? Do you feel their devotion and their passion, right? Are you actively desiring someone and loving someone? Because love is an action, right? And I like this idea or this definition of thriving. Love should allow you to thrive, right? Just like plants thrive in the sunlight. Are you thriving in the relationship? I know, Greg, you were just messing around. drop a bomb. DMV in the building. So you have to.
Oh, I was going to build off of that, but I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, you sure?
Yeah.
You said, are you thriving in a relationship? I also feel like there are those couples where they're not thriving in the relationship. Something is seriously wrong, and you have one partner saying, hey, let's go see a therapist. Let's go get help. And they're like, no, I don't need no therapy. I don't need to get help. That is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because to me, an act of love is understanding that our relationship should be continuing to move up. We should no longer, I feel like in my relationship, maybe I'm wrong for this assumption, but I feel like the arguments and issues that me and Juan have now in year 1, we shouldn't be having in year 5. In my opinion.
There should be some growth and development towards, and some people's growth patterns maybe move a little slower. But I think if you're actively and desiring that relationship, you're gonna work on what's necessary to grow, right? If you go into the gym, the same level you was walking on the treadmill that first month, you shouldn't come month 12 if you've been actively desiring to make yourself better. There should be a change. You're running faster. You're lifting stronger weights. Maybe it's that you don't lift heavier weight, but you know how to control that weight better. There should be an active improvement in one's physical position. That's part of working out. Chris brought up a good point, the agape. I was going to say something about that too. So we know agape kind of love is almost a love that's almost unattainable, but it's like the highest level of love. I think the closest we see agape between people would be like those long-lasting relationships where it's like a husband will really lay their life down for their wife, or a wife will really lay their life down for their husband. I think what we see, the quickest examples of that is parenthood, right? If you have children, the ability to say, you know what? I can't let my child die. I'll die first before my child will die. Right? That is the essence of agape kind of love. The kind of love where you will lay your life down for that other individual. Right? And we got some people we'll rock for, we'll fight for, but if you really think about being in that situation, I've been to combat. Shout out to all of my military personnel watching today. A lot of people are going to freeze up when it's time to put their life down on the line, right? So that's why I try to use the more simpler filii, right, or eros forms of love. Because I think that's the love that most people are going to break to. It takes time to get to that agape kind of love for another grown person. I think it just automatically kicks on for your kids because it's something that's innate in us as mammals, right? Because humans are technically mammals. It just kicks into where we want to provide for our children in such a way that we would almost lose our life for the protection of our child.
I would even go a step further and say, I would say that grandparents show agape love. I know parents do, but to me, it's almost like parents have the task of being correctors as well as inspirers. Whereas grandparents, their whole purpose is just to explore their grandkids, show them unconditional love and compassion. Even when my grandparents corrected us, it was never harsh, ever. It was always like, well, you should listen to your parents. It was always really sweet. Anything we wanted, they gave us, because it was almost like they're at a point in their life now where they're no longer fighting with corporate America or raising kids. It's like, I want to give my grandkids everything I have. And we always talk about agape love as Christ provided agape love to us, sacrificing himself. And I do agree that most times it is parental. Because I feel like with relationships, there's too many people who get divorced or, well, this person's not doing this, therefore I'm not happy anymore. And I guess the question is, if your significant other is doing something that you feel causes you not to be happy, does that give you the right to end the relationship? Or should you find happiness outside of that person?
So I want to talk about that too. I'm going to read one more definition, and then that brings me to another point. So another definition is respect, right? Because respect and love tend to go hand in hand. And this is why. Let's define what respect is as a verb. To consider worthy of high regard, esteem. Typically, your partner or your friends, the people that you choose to have around you, you should have some regard for them, some esteem, some kind of respect, right? You shouldn't challenge them on the things that they're passionate about or love or to do them harm or to want to see them fail, right? There should be some type of high regard or esteem for that person. Also, to refrain from interfering with respect to their privacy, right? So, in other words, when you respect somebody, if you have a disagreement, you should be able to take that behind closed doors. Something that I always bring up in corporate America. You can get away with just about cussing your manager out as long as you don't do it in front of everybody. Matter of fact, it's in the military handbook. that someone can't use their word against your word to bring you to UMCJ. So that's why it's kind of like you have to really have it all out with somebody, take them behind closed doors and talk to them. And matter of fact, most corporate handbooks follow that motto. You can basically be really frank and tell somebody how you feel and where they can go if you take it behind closed doors. The second it leaves the privacy of your conversation, it becomes very disrespectful. It can actually get you fired. And one of the biggest issues around this Will and Jada thing, and what we see spiraling out of control, even in other relationships, is that too often people take private matters and make them public. And that becomes disrespectful. There's a whole lot of stuff that Katrina could say to me behind closed doors. But God forbid she ever say it out in public, I'm going to be highly upset. And that's going to cause some real arguments to go around the house. You think the argument was bad before it went public, so it'll be worse now. The embarrassment, same thing would go for her. There's a lot I probably get away with saying in the house. There's the stuff that we say in general conversations. You're like, well, don't you ever say that in public? Don't you ever say that in public, right? I can say it within my house, but if I say it publicly, now it's about to be a different kind of problem. Because now she's going to be like, it's the perception of, you're embarrassing me. You see? And too often people be like, I ain't say nothing wrong. We say that kind of stuff all the time. But you don't make it public. And I got a lot of people agreeing that you shouldn't make that thing public, right? So you got to help each other out in that regard. Some things you need to keep between yourselves, and then you may need to get help, but you may not be able to go to your mama. You may not be able to go to your daddy or another family member or a close friend. You need to get professional help. Go see a therapist, right? Go see someone who's a licensed counselor. I know some folks will go to their pastors and stuff like that too, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I think that your pastor should work in conjunction with a licensed family therapist.
Christopher said, yeah, you have to maintain composure.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's hard.
It's hard, and that's a skill you have to work on. But if you love somebody, meaning you cherish them, and you want and you like and desire actively to take pleasure in loving them, then that's what helps with your respect, to have reference, concern, or to hold in esteem. That's what's going to help you keep that composure. That's the evidence of love. And it brings me to the other point, the 5 love languages. Some of you are being loved by your mate or by your friends or whatever, but maybe you're not speaking the same love language. So I referenced Gary Chapman in his book, The 5 Love Languages, right? We have acts of service, we have receiving gifts, we have physical touch. But the one I wanted to say was not compliments, but words of affirmation, right? And sometimes what happens is someone, once again, look at love as an action. You see someone's trying to love you, they're complimenting you. Maybe you're like gifts. Like, I don't want you telling me you think I look good. I want you to go buy me a purse that's gonna make me look good, right? Because like they're into getting gifts. Or you have some people that need that need to be affirmed by the words. They need to know that, okay, I need to hear you tell me you love me. I need you to hear me say that, we had that argument yesterday, but it's okay now. Some folks need acts of service. Some men, they be like, listen, I need a home-cooked meal. And in the same regard, some women be like, I need my foot rubbed. Those are all acts of service. And sometimes, someone may not be loving you in their love language, but you should still respect the fact that they're trying to love you within theirs. Once again, go see a therapist so you can start to bridge the gap in your understanding of love, right? Because so often we're ready to throw in the towel like, this person don't love me because I've been asking them to do the dishes and to do the dishes without me asking. But the whole time, they shower you with gifts. Every morning you wake up, they be like, yeah, girl, you look good. Yeah, man, you look great. And then the whole time you're ignoring their love. So then they feel abandoned because it's like, well, I have been loving you. You didn't see that time when I bought you that gift? Or you didn't see how I came home with some roses and a little card? Or you didn't notice this?
Is it possible that someone in a long-term relationship could change what they desire as far as their love language?
Well, yeah. If you read Gary Chapman's book, if you listen to any therapist, these are not my words, it's based off the, what the experts have to say. People sometimes do change the ways they need to be loved. And that's something that you have to always be willing to find. This is why I feel like therapy is something worth paying for. You may not need to go every month, but maybe once a quarter, it doesn't hurt to talk to a therapist to do a checkup, because someone can be changing, you may not realize it. But if you get ahead of it by speaking with someone regularly, shout out to Vicky Hayter. That's the therapist that we go to.
Do you think it's helped us?
Yeah, absolutely, because sometimes Two people could be talking to each other and it's just going over each other's heads, but some reason having that third party there who can interpret it. And then when you hear that person interpret what the person is saying and they hear it out of somebody else's mouth, it's like, oh, okay, that's what you said? Oh, okay.
So are you saying that there are moments where you feel like I could tell you something or you could tell me something and Vicky will reiterate the same thing and you're more receptive to listening to her?
Then I feel like it becomes more clear. So I think that happens in therapeutic moments. I think sometimes people just hear it from another person. Think about it with your friends. You done told your friends something before. Somebody else said it. You'd be like, man, I just told you that last week. That ain't nothing new. Why you acting like this is brand new information? Right? So it's a very human reaction. But that's the point of bringing in, I think, therapy towards these relationships.
I also think with love, something that's important is that you guys have shared hobbies or shared interests. I think that makes it easier. Because let's think about it. If you were somebody that liked to gamble and be drinking a lot and didn't like to be home, it probably wouldn't work out, and vice versa. Because in reality, we're both kind of homebodies.
Yeah. I mean, it helps. Chris made a good point. He said, if you want to be successful at anything, composure is an indispensable skill. I 100% agree.
Composure, and I would even say silence.
Yeah.
There's power in silence. I mean, you have to always respond and have the last word. But guess what? When the person doesn't know what you're thinking, that is powerful. That is powerful.
Absolutely. We're running close to time, so I want to make another point because I know this is going to this point could possibly take us over, but I'm going to go there. Here's the thing though, not just for individuals can you not force someone to love you. When it comes to groups, you can't force somebody to love you. So recently, members of the LGBTQ community are mad at the movie Halloween Kills because in the movie, Michael Myers' character kills a white gay couple. So they're up in arms. Charlamagne actually talked about this on his show. It was hilarious. I seen a lot of memes going around about it, and I wanted to bring it up because it did fit the storyline. So often, people have a paradigm that they exist in, and they find folks who are part of their tribe. And they try to force people to see the world from them versus there's one thing to make me love me. There's another thing to break the law. So it's like, I can't make you love me, but at the same time, you're not going to put your hands on me, right? Because one is an actual breaking of the law. So it's like, for me, it's maybe you can't get somebody to respect the paradigm of your life, but you can't but once again, if someone is trying to harm them, so let's say if you're part of that community and someone's trying to harm you, that's a law that can't be broken. And if they want to say, I want legal rights to make sure that something is called a hate crime because somebody beat me up just because I'm gay, then they have a legal right to that, and we should support that because all humans, should have that. But as a black person, I can say, I can't get you to respect my history, right? But at the same time, legally, I can say, you're not going to misrepresent my history in your history room. You're not going to keep me from voting. You can't tell me I can't buy XYZ house. You can't tell me I can't shop at XYZ store. You can't tell me I can't vote. All these different things are protections of me being a citizen. And just because I'm black, you can't tell me I don't have access to that, right? And you're not going to hang me up on the tree. This is why we're fighting for the George Floyd Policing Act, because we need to label someone doing me physically harm because of the color of my skin as a hate crime. But with that, I can't get mad when a white person at my job tells me, well, I don't like hip hop. I don't like certain things from your culture. He has the right not to like it. He doesn't have to like things from our culture. But he can't not promote me because I like hip hop. You got to see the difference.
I do. But I do know for a fact that if somebody white told somebody on the job, well, I don't like hip hop or things in your culture, people will say, oh, he's racist, up in arms. Probably would get fired. But although he has the right to say that,
and that's when we need to start drawing the line. Because I don't like country music really like that. I've heard some songs I like, but you're not going to hear me bumping country in the car. Because that's just not what gets my noodle going. I'm a Afro beats kind of person typically. Most of the time in the car, I'm probably playing Afro beats or neo soul. Right?
It's about listening though, because if the same white man said in corporate America, those same things been said. But however, I'm not going to allow that to dictate you not being promoted because you are skilled at the expectations that we have for this job. then he wouldn't be wrong. But I think people would still be offended.
And that's what we need to change it. So I'm not going to call out the company or the manager, but I had an old manager of mine. He made it very clear he voted for Trump, and he didn't like rap music, or he wasn't a big fan of it. He's like a country guy. But guess what? That didn't stop him from hiring me. So I'm not offended by him not liking hip hop. I'm not offended by him not being the biggest fan of Biden, because at the end of the day, it didn't stop him from making sure I got my raises, or making sure I had employment, making sure that I had advocacy when it came to the job. But that's the difference. And so with this Michael Myers film, and I'm happy Elisa brought up what she said, part of inclusion is, okay, I want the same respect. Then, okay, we've been watching horror movies for years, right? It wasn't until 1999 that we seen a black man survive a film. And that was LL Cool J in Deep Blue Sea. And then some people could argue, well, that's not really a horror movie. Okay, so let's go later in the year with House on the Haunted Hill. Taye Diggs survives the movie. Sorry, spoiler alert. Now, some people reference before then Dwayne Jones, who was in, what was it, Night of the Living Dead, but he still dies at the end of the movie, so that doesn't count. Right? So all this time, you never heard black people say that movies were racist because the black person kept on dying. Shoot, we made jokes of it. We done heard Chris Rock, we done heard all kind of comedians, Cedric the Entertainer, laugh about they always killing the nigga at the beginning of the movie.
Well, the reason why we made a joke about it is because in real life, when you look at Jim Crow, slavery, we were always getting killed.
No, the reason why
it was factual.
No, the real reason why we laughed at it is because we knew most of the times we wouldn't even be in those situations. We're not about to be at nobody's lake where we heard somebody got killed. We're not gonna go looking down the hallway for the monster. Black folks don't do that. Half these movies will be over. The first time we hear shoo, 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 we be like, yo, it's time to go. It's time to get up out of here.
I just want to say, if a white, going back to the example you used, if a white boss said, I don't like hip hop or things in your culture, what's the difference between him saying that and your parents saying it?
It's the same thing.
Okay, but why are we offended if a white man says it? But if my mom and dad, who say all the time they don't like rap music, what's the difference?
Well, I don't know why people are offended by it. And that's what I'm saying. And so that way it doesn't look like I'm punching down on the LGBTQ. I want to make sure that it's clear that this works for any group. If I'm a white man, I shouldn't be offended when my black employees are like, I don't care for country music, if that's what you're listening to, right? I don't like pumpkin pie. I eat sweet potato, right? And that's not a hateful comment. For people that have a difference of opinion or different likes, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So I think too often we try to make, even within groups, and we're seeing this a lot in America, we're trying to force somebody to respect our opinion or force them to love our opinion versus it's like, you know what, that's your opinion, you're allowed to have it. I disagree for my reasons, you disagree for your reasons, and move on. But one of the issues we're finding is we're trying to force people to love our narratives. And you can't do that. All you can fight for what's legally fair. What's legally fair is I shouldn't be killed as a black man just for the simple fact that I'm black. No gay man should be killed or harassed or not given a job just because they're gay. Right? No one should be afforded a chance to come to the hospital and have their child because they didn't have it with their lesbian wife and they had a donor inseminate them. No one should be treated otherwise, right? You should be allowed to go onto a dating site and go talk to whoever you want, no matter what your, where you stand, whatever your paradigm is. And the second it becomes a situation where you're being discriminated against, once it becomes a situation where you're being harmed for your choices or how you identify or the paradigm you say you exist in, then it's a problem. But you can't force me to say it's a preference for my son to also live this way. I'm allowed to say, well, no, my preference is I want my kids to be XYZ, and I'm raising them to be XYZ. Now, if they become something else, that's still their choice, but they can't force me to love it. I want to still love them. I'm not going to ostracize them from the family. I want to love them all the way, but you can't make me say, I love this choice for you. It'd be no difference in, for instance, my parents don't like the fact, I'll be a little personal, they don't like the fact that I got a tattoo. Y'all don't know, I'm a thug like from tatted up under here. My mom is not a fan of it, right? She don't like my tattoo. She look at it every time and say, oh, I wish you didn't get no tattoos, Juan. I ain't raised you to get no tattoos. But she ain't gonna stop loving me. She ain't gonna stop wishing me happy birthday. You get what I'm saying? But she's allowed the right to say, I don't really particularly care for the tattoos. I wish you never got them. And there's nothing wrong with that. It didn't stop me from getting it. It won't stop me from adding to it if I ever decide to, right? But she, well, I know you like it, you know what I'm saying? But I think people need to learn how to say, like, you can't force somebody to love your, like, you can't force them to love that opinion. You get what I'm saying? Like, she can't force me to take it off. She can't even keep either from me or my brothers from getting another one or getting one. You see what I'm saying? But you can still love me regardless. And I think people don't understand that two things can exist at the same time. And that's why I had to bring up the group aspect of love. Because so many people are losing their mind trying to force people to love their choices or to love their paradigm. And that's just not possible, boo-boo. You're not going to get everybody to love your choices. You're not getting everybody to understand your paradigm. All you can look for is like, listen, as long as it don't keep me from being employed, as long as it don't keep me from getting my money, as long as it don't keep me from, you know, surviving, I think we can exist in the same place. Ain't your cup of tea? Cool.
Gotcha. All right.
I guess we're almost out of time, huh? Any final thoughts, Boo? Love? Think we covered it all?
Yes. That's how they be ending. That's how they be ending like shows like.
You gave me the squeeze they give. This is what the husband and wife was doing. What's his name? Derrick Jackson. When niggas be in trouble, they be holding hands, squeezing. They be like, "Yep, we're united front. We're united front." No, you didn't give me that. You gave me the political squeeze. That's funny. You let my hand go. Oh, you feeling me, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. This is that off camera, baby. Off camera. Look, we be having fun up here. Y'all just can't pay us any mind sometime. We're gonna have a good time. I think I'm gonna do this one right here. Okay. So let me give us some end out music. So we got this SWV track. We're gonna let that play. So let me shout out 8th Notch again. Thank you 8th Notch for being our business sponsor for the month. If you guys don't know, you can go ahead and check them out at if you're in the LA area, you go to 3500 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 200, Los Angeles, California. You can go hit up their IG at 8th Notch at 8th Notch, or you could go to www.8thnotch.shop. Get some of that sauce B sauce, y'all. It's good. It ships everywhere across the United States, and I think probably beyond. Let's go into some birthdays. Shout out to Mecca Scott. Shout out to Adam Francis. Shout out to Tiffany Bolden, just had her birthday. Shout out to Lenora Sneed, Alethea Pryor, Lysandra Bumpy McLaurin. Shout out to my people. Shout out to my aunt Karen Gibbs. Shout out to Constance Nicole, once again, my people. Shout out to Orvetta Cummings. Shout out to our homegirl Tina, best bartender in the DC area. Shout out to my cousin John Hill. Shout out to my homie Karen Willis. Shout out to the other homie Jonathan Murray. Shout out to Grandma B. Benson.
Yeah, it was October 19th.
Yeah, but we didn't have the show last week, so that's why she didn't get included. So, yeah, you know, shout out to Grandma B.
The matriarch.
Shout out to my nephew, Zion. And then also, shout out to his mama, my little sister, Angela DaCosta. Their birthdays are literally like 3 days apart. Zion's on the 25th, and then Angela's on the 28th. So, shout out to all of you. And then we got some weddings and anniversary shout outs. We got a few of them in the, during this later half of October. So shout out to Michael and Rose Covington. Shout out to Cal and Lori Massenberg. Shout out to Marcus and Ebony Jean. Shout out to Calvin and Carla Smith. Shout out to Dustin and Krista Jeter. And also happy 15th anniversary to Pastor Matthew and First Lady Shauna Watley. So yeah, blessings to all of you. Once again, y'all seen it in the right here in the corner. Y'all could donate to the show. It could be $1.50. Some of y'all balling, it could be $50. Donate to the Nitty Gritty Show. It's money sign, the Nitty Gritty Show. Type in the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. That's our Cashapp. Also, you can still buy merch. We're still on www.squadlocker.com. In the search, you type in the Nitty Gritty Show, and you can buy yourself some merch. We got stuff with Under Armour, Nike, Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Go grab yourself something. And am I missing anything else? We will have a show, I think, like the first 3 Sundays of November. And then after that, we may just go on Christmas break until the beginning of the year. And what we'll try to do is put out some short content, try to put out some soapboxes, put out some rants. We want to also, if you're interested, Start putting the word out now, because this is something that we're trying to bring in January. If you're musically inclined, you're in the DMV area, or wherever you are, we're going to start posting clips, like 2-minute clips. You could be rapping, you could be singing, you could be playing an instrument. Send us a video clip and we'll post it on the Nitty Gritty Show. We're going to start doing that once a week. We gotta get figured out which day of the week. But you can start submitting stuff today. We're going to start doing that at the beginning of the year. So if you're musically inclined, you sing, you play, hey, I'll take a poet. Send us a little quick 2-minute video. We'll post it to the chat. We'll shout you out wherever you are. If you got your IGs and all that. We want to start highlighting some artists. So if you're up and coming artist, maybe an established artist, but you want to be shouted out, hit us up. Look, we're about to go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you guys for joining. It's your boy Jay DaCosta.
It's your girl Cat.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. We out. See y'all next week.